So what we've got here is a reef aquarium with a fairly high fish load, and we've got a sump to run it. And this is all good until you look up, and then we've got a predator tank. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove the predators and put them in another tank, because the amount of waste produced by the predators is going to make it hard to balance a low nutrient environment such as a reef tank if it's all run on the same system. So once the predators are moved, what we're going to do is get a nice powerful light which is going to help grow algae in this top tank. Then in that top tank we're going to put some blennies like this fella, and he will be a wonderful algae scavenger. And we'll put some tangs in, and they will help to scavenge any algae. And then we'll create an environment in here that the algae loves. The way we'll do that is by having high Kelvin lights here for a reef tank, and then low Kelvin lights up here, which will encourage our algae. The other thing we'll do is have very good water flow, very good dissolved oxygen levels, very good redox potential in here. Whereas at the top, we'll put a lot less water up the top. We will not stock it with too much stuff. We will have a lower surface agitation. We will have less water flow, not none, but less. That will allow us to have a lower redox potential, lower dissolved oxygen levels, higher CO2 levels, which once again is going to favour the algae. So we'll play around with it a bit in order to make sure the fish are nice and healthy, but not have too many fish in there, and encourage the algae to grow. Because if we get the algae growing up here, then the nutrients that the algae would normally absorb are going to get consumed up here, so therefore we tend to get less algae in here. And by playing around with that a little bit, then we could get very good results. The other thing we'll do too is that when the algae grows in here, the type of algae that grows will just be governed by the water quality last month, and the type of algae that grows next month will be governed by the water quality now. And then what we'll do is, as the front glass particularly grows algae on it, we'll use something like polyfilter to wipe out the inside with the aim of actually pulling the algae out. Because when the algae grows, there's two things we want to happen to the algae. First of all, we want to try and physically remove it. So we're removing all the nutrients that the algae has harbored. And then we also want to have in scavenging animals that will eat it. And then they'll convert the energy in the algae to metabolic energy and so forth. So that's would be a bit of fun, and a good way to utilize a system like this. The other thing is that what we don't want to do is put the reef tank at the top and the algae farm at the bottom, for two reasons. Is that you want the reef tank at eye level, and you also want the reef tank at access level. So you're going to play around with the reef tank a lot more. So it's very nice just to be able to reach in and grab it, as opposed to every time that you've got to do something, you've got to really think about it. You need to go and get yourself a ladder, and then you've got to climb up the top. And as simple as that sounds, it's a real put off.